Right, well, what we're talking about then, or what we seem to talk about on the meetings, um, well, really nothing. We're not talking about anything. That's the freedom, so to speak. There is nothing ever to talk about. Nothing is ever being spoken about. And what seems to happen is speaking. And what seems to happen is sitting. And what seems to happen is listening. And that's it. That is what seems to be shared here, is that all there is this, what seems to be happening. So there is nothing to say. There really is nothing to talk about. And you could say what seems to be spoken about is that there is nothing to speak about. So nothing is not a topic or a thing. There's just nothing. There's nothing to say. There is no message. Even saying that there is nothing to say is not a message, but of course it seems to be turned into one, and that's also fine. But there just is nothing to be said. The apparent suggestion that just seems to come out for no reason at all is that there's just what appears to be happening. This is it. Already, this is it. So it's not going to become anything. This isn't going anywhere. Nothing is going to happen because what appears to be happening is already nothing apparently happening. It's already like this. So nothing's ever going to change. There's never, ever, ever going to be a realization or a recognition of this, because the suggestion that's being shared here today, apparently, is that there is nothing to recognize. There is nothing to realize. Nothing can possibly be done about this. Nothing can possibly be seen, because all there is nothing apparently happening. Nothing is not a thing that can be noticed. The simple suggestion here is that it's already this. It's already this. It's never going to change. Nothing is ever going to change. It's not ever going to be different. And it's always been this. It never left. It never went anywhere. So nothing ever happened and nothing will ever happen. And that's all we seem to share and discuss, apparently, on these Zoom meetings for absolutely no reason whatsoever. It's just what seems to go on, talking. So there will be no recognition in the way that the individual expects. I mean, to even say there is a recognition is very, very misleading because it never happens. But it may simply be recognized that nothing will ever be recognized. But of course, that then defeats itself naturally, because that's not a recognition. It's a recognition that there is no such thing as a recognition. So it cancels each other out, of course. Nothing ever happens, really. So the simple suggestion that seems to be made here is that the sense you may have of sitting on this Zoom call, expecting or waiting or hoping for something to happen, is illusory. It's a dream. It's just a dream. It's never going to happen. This event or this moment or this opening that you're waiting for and that you're pinning everything on does not exist. It doesn't exist. It's a dream. It's a total dream. It's been made up for no reason at all by no one. It's a dream that there is something in the future or whenever that's going to happen and bring this all together to make this suddenly some sort of completion or perfection or wholeness or freedom or liberation. It's a dream. It's never going to happen. So this is received as it's received, of course, and it's heard as it's heard, and it really doesn't matter. For some people, there may be a total openness to this, and it may be very clear, of course, what the hell, what even was happening? Nothing's going to happen. Of course, it's so bloody obvious. But also there can be a total rejection of this in favor of this real lived sense that no, something's going to happen. I've heard what she said, but I know, and of course none of this is a choice. It's just energetically what seems to go on, There can just be a total rejection of what's being said here. It's very clearly, transparently, and obviously being said that nothing is ever going to happen. And yet the individual can still carry on with this lived sense that something has to happen, something will happen, and something needs to happen. And that's also fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with however this seems to be received. So this is just a simple open sharing for no reason at all, and nothing has to happen. So if someone receives this and doesn't believe it and doesn't resonate with it and goes off and carries on seeking, feeling that something needs to happen, that's absolutely fine. That's just what's happening. And also there may be a total openness to this, and it may be very clear that nothing is ever going to change. And that's also fine. There's no difference between the two. So what we're talking about here is very simple. It's very, very natural and very direct. There is no such thing as enlightenment. There is no such thing as liberation. There is no such thing as a free person or a liberated person or an enlightened individual. All these things are totally dreamt. They just simply do not exist. There is no one and there is nothing. There's just what seems to be happening. And what seems to be happening is a very normal, apparent life with all of its so-called ups and downs and worries and fears and hopes and dreams and successes and failures and pains and pleasures. Very, very normal, but there's just no one at the center of it. And that's already the case. And this is not some special state that is achieved or realized. This is actually what is already naturally happening right now on this call. There's already no one sitting here. There's already no one listening, and there's already no one speaking. So this is not talking to the individual. The individual cannot hear what's being suggested, and it can never actually hear this. But it may just be that this individual, this sense of individuality evaporates for no reason at all. And that doesn't have to happen, by the way, because it's already not there. Yeah, so if it wasn't clear then, I mean, it's never going to get clearer than that. So yeah, we'll see what comes up. And of course, there can seem to be questions, but that's also fine.